I just finished the ACEMAGIC Tank, which is a DGPU based model. This one is not. This is an ACEMAGIC, they call it, it says Matrix Mini, but it's actually M4. It kind of looks like a little Mac Mini type style here, but it uses Intel. It's very interesting. So we'll get into the specs in a sec, but you can see here we do have 1 terabyte model, 32 gigabytes, so pretty stacked up, to be honest. But what this does offer is it will have superb CPU performance, and it doesn't cost an absolute fortune like some that are a little bit more gaming focused. Like these, you know, a lot of the minis these days, we have a couple different ways we're going. We're going with like super cheap. That's one branch. We have kind of the mid range, and then we have the, you know, kind of gaming range, which can be very expensive. And a lot of times the mid range is kind of not great. And then of course the cheap stuff is good and well priced, but it's not necessarily what people want. So it's nice to get something here which is still fairly mid-range pricing, but it's on the upper level of actual performance here. Cute little box there. It actually has the same footprint as a Mac Mini, M4 Mac Mini. That's nice because as weird as this sounds, some people will use, you know, just this, but some people actually will get a Mac and then they also need a Windows PC because not everything runs on Mac. Shocking, right? And you know, not everything runs on PC. So it is nice to get something that's the exact same form factor because you can actually set it on top of your Mac Mini like a little burger, right? So then you get a double stack. My friend who took my, I can't remember what he took something off me, I can't remember. And I sent him one and it was, I think it was an ACEMAGIC actually, and it was the same form factor as this, and he puts it on top of his Mac and it looks cute. Anyways, power on the front. Audio, so headphones if you need be. 2 USB-A, should be reasonably fast, but we'll test them. USB-C, we'll see how fast those go. I like to test them, see how they actually go. Lots of ports, that's a lot of ports, holy smokes. 4 USB-A on the back, so you end up with 6 USB-A on this thing. Well, that's pretty impressive. I guess Intel does have a lot of PCI lanes, so it has the ability to do it. DisplayPort HDMI, power in there, Kensington lock slot, exhaust out there, so you get a dual route for the exhaust there. It's got an interesting design here, like the actual back piece is kind of in there rather than just being like a centerpiece that just pops out. It's actually a little bit of the I/O type stuff too, which is kind of nice because when we get this off, it will actually make potentially servicing the heatsink, if you ever want to do that, a little bit easier. So pop that off. Yeah, look at that. That's a huge heatsink there. Wow. Okay. Interesting. So inside here we have dual NVMe support and NetAC, which is, you know, it's not like your Samsung type stuff, but it's name brand enough, I would say. I see them all the time and I've used them before. So NetAC kind of there. Single NVMe, and then you have the extra NVMe here, so you can actually get dual 2280 support here. Tons of room under there for 8 terabytes here. This one here, you probably would want to go with a single-sided. Upgradable Wi-Fi there. 2 sticks of RAM, upgradable as well. Go like that. 16 gigabyte, 3200 mega transfers, so obviously DDR4. Very nice. And it's Micron, which means it's crucial. Right, for Micron, so it's crucial memory, so good memory too. This is really good memory. This memory alone is worth like $300, is it $200? The market is so screwed. RAM is just so bad right now. Prices are just wild right now, so that's good. It's looking pretty good, honestly. It's looking pretty good. Let's actually take this off here quickly. I've already done a little bit of tests here to get some temperatures, and I didn't notice any issues. But what I am going to do is just have a quick look at the thermal solution while we're at it. If it's a PTM, then I will have to replace it. Anyways, if it's a thermal paste, I can just put it right back on and test the stock kind of thing. Fan comes out, very nice. Nope, it's paste. Okay, so we got a paste under there. Not dry. Yep, it's not dry. Just a standard paste. Looking pretty good. Silicon there. Dual heat pipe. Lots of copper exposed. Thermal pads there. So it's looking good. Let's put this back on. Get it fired up. Okay, so here we are in hardware info. We'll bring that over. I want to show you guys how noisy it is, the thermals, that kind of stuff. So we're just going to run it. Everything here is stock, of course. We'll run it here. And we'll see what we can get there. It's completely silent when just hanging out in Windows doing basic stuff. The fan just started. Very quiet though. So what we have here is, it is a very powerful CPU, to be honest. The 13900HK. They could give it more wattages. They could, let it boost up to like 100 watts or something like that, and it would, provide more performance, I suppose. But then it would just run hotter and noisier. So what they've done here is they put in a very powerful CPU, a very, very powerful CPU, to be honest, and they've just given it a little bit of a wattage limit here, 60 watts, for example, on the CPU. Again, that will chop off some of the performance, of course, from the 1300 HK here, but you're still going to get very good performance. So you can see here, right, 13,639 is pretty damn good for a 60 watt part. Right, very good. Pretty much the most you can expect out of really most CPUs at that kind of wattage level. So it will cut off some of the performance here from, what this thing could do under a peak scenario, maybe, another 30% or 20%. But rather than putting in a lower part that has, for example, fewer cores and just, you hope that you get good performance out of it, this is a full-fledged CPU here. You get all the cores, you get all the parts, and they just drop off the watts a little bit so that you end up getting slightly lower performance than if it was full, but you still get access to all those cores, right? 14 core and 20 thread. We're going to run that again. You might have heard I was blabbering, but it gets very quiet very fast as well. So we'll run that again. And it doesn't actually get any noisier than that peak that we had seen, and it gets quiet very fast. Zero sound. And as you can see, we're not throttling, right? There's the fan. And that's as loud as it gets. It's a pretty big heat sink for, a 50-ish watt, 60 watt component. Now we're going to turn it off and watch how fast it gets quiet. Temps down. Fan off. It's very good. That's what I want to see, right? This isn't a desktop PC, like a big behemoth desktop PC. For me, if I have a PC that's sitting right here on my desk, I do not like it to be noisy. It drives me kind of ballistic, to be quite honest. So it is very nice that this over here does not have noise issues. It runs very quiet. All right, we'll just look at some of the other things. We know what we get now for performance, what the CPU can do. That was a typo. I put in 11. Look at that. So just quickly looking at some other benchmarks here, nothing special or that like abnormal about it. It's just, standard Wi-Fi speed, little box far away from my Wi-Fi. It's about good. Ignore the upload. That's just my Wi-Fi. There's several ports on it. Actually, let's go to this one here. Several ports on it. And as you can see here, we have very fast ports. So the internal here, it's that G946E, whatever. It's just a Gen 3 NVMe, so fine. Nothing weird there, just standard. And here's where things get very interesting for me. Very, very, very interesting. So the front ports, specifically the USB-C, is a USB 4 port. I actually, when they were sending this to me, I think I looked at the wrong mini and I didn't see, or I just didn't see it on the website. I didn't see the USB 4 port. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. It'll be a good little mini PC, lots of compute and that kind of stuff. Having a USB 4 port on the front changes a lot. The reason being, you can run stuff like docs here. This is just a basic USB 4 port, oops. But you can get a USB 4 port like this with all kinds of extra ports there to really expand the amount of ports essentially that you have on your device there. That will help turn something like this into a larger device. Like I could set that in there, add more. You could run a full-fledged dock with hard drives and all kinds of stuff like that and really take this into basically a desktop with a nice clean setup, no problem. You can then of course run NVMe enclosures like this one here. This one here runs at 40 gigabits, so USB 4, and it gave me these speeds here. So very fast as well. So if you want to expand your storage very easily, you can. There's one other thing that you can do with this. Now this system here, the only real negative, I suppose, if that's the right term to use here, is it doesn't have a powerful iGPU. So it's not a gaming PC. You can do gaming on a 13th gen. You're looking at XE graphics, so it's not like you cannot. You can still play 99% of games on the market, straight up. Like there's no beating around the bush with that. That it can play 99% of games, straight up. But 99.999% of PC games, to be honest. It's just the most modern. Basically, if you're looking at 2020 or above, and you're looking at AAA 3D, like benchmark style titles, no, it's not going to play them. So it's not going to play Hogwarts Legacy at super high frame rates. It's just not going to happen, right? It's not that kind of thing. But you could play the 2D, 3D games on good frames with no problems whatsoever, right? So you can play games. But the other thing is you have a USB 4 port. So let's just turn it into a gaming PC. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this eGPU. There's lots of eGPUs on the market. This is just one that I have. Plug that in there. Okay. Let's zoom out here slightly. And go like that. Okay, we'll zoom out here. Where's my cable? There it is. We're going to go like this. And then we're going to go like this. Okay, so now we have a gaming PC. Windows did it on its own, 7600M XT. I typically install the drivers myself because Windows doesn't necessarily get the best drivers. So what I typically do is then I just go to the AMD website and I just download this. You can still use the drivers that Windows gets, but usually they're like, I don't know, like 6 months old or something. It's not the biggest deal, like unless you're playing those modern games. And then this will give you the most recent drivers. So, okay, and here we go. Normally you'd want to have like a clean setup. That's kind of the whole purpose, but I just have wires here. So normally what I do, I tuck this behind here, put it in there, run the wires in the background. So they're coming into the back and kind of just looping over, but whatever. It's YouTube. So nothing is ever going to be as clean when it's my YouTube, at least. Okay. So anyways, we're running over the actual 7600 now, obviously. So we can come in here and we can see we're running over the 7600 MXT. So this will, if you're not exactly sure how powerful this is, like you're not a GPU dude, the new Steam machine that's coming out, the new Steam machine, everyone's like, oh, Steam machine. This is the same GPU. I can almost guarantee it. Pretty much everyone uniformly agrees. As soon as I saw the GPU, I was like, oh, that's a 7600 MXT. So this is now, is it more powerful than a Steam machine? It's at least equal to a Steam machine because you're going to be getting this literally the same GPU. And then, of course, you do have a more powerful, potentially more powerful CPU. USB 4 is going to cut a little bit of bandwidth, but you'll still get good performance here. Okay, so here we are in Cyberpunk. We can play with the settings. This is pretty high. This is 1440p medium, which is a touch of scaling. You can see it's stretched, but we're going to do 1440p ultra wide in a moment. But this is, this GPU is more of a 1080p GPU. Sing at 1080p, but you can still do 1440p. Just use some scaling. The 45 is going to give you, reasonably decent frame rates. It's better than what you're going to get on a lot of the handhelds with way higher settings, obviously. So, and I chose this because it's a very hard to run game and it's very CPU heavy. The nice thing about this mini PC is, there are mini PCs with USB 4 that potentially have weaker CPUs. And so you'd actually hit a CPU bottleneck. You can see we're up to even at almost 50% here on the CPU there. So this is a case where having that more powerful CPU is going to come in handy. Of course, there are loads of games like demanding AAA modern games that aren't as CPU heavy and right, it's not as big of a deal. But this little mini PC here having such a powerful CPU means that you're never going to throttle down something like a 7600 MXT. Okay, and you can also go with lower. 1440p ultra wide is pretty crazy for a little eGPU like this, but you can play with the settings a little bit more. You can come and you can go with, let's say, let's just go standard 1080p, which is more where this GPU is comfortable, to be honest. Okay, that's fine. And we'll just go full screen. We'll stretch it out, but it'll be fine. So 1080p, we can probably lower the amount of scaling here. Let's go with XeSS, that'll look better. Something like that. And again, this is a heavy game, right? Now you're getting 60. So you're able to do stuff like 60 FPS gaming at 1080p, which is very good, to be honest. It's very good. You're able to take this mini PC and turn it into it. And this is not like, oh, I can play some games. Like, no, we're playing, 1440p with 45 to 50 in an incredibly demanding area. We're playing 1080p with like a flat 60. And this is, again, a very demanding area. And the high power CPU comes in handy here because this is an area where you really do tax the CPU a lot because there's a lot going on. It won't look great on this screen because it's 1440p ultra wide, but it's all stretched out. But you can just see here just the type of performance you're going to get. So you're able to take this little ACEMAGIC here because it has USB 4 and turn it into a gaming PC legitimately, because there are loads of USB-C eGPUs on the market, and they've been around for years and years. So having access to that port, but then also having access to the good CPU means that you're not going to hit bottlenecks even in games like this, like Cyberpunk, that are very CPU heavy, especially at 1080p, right? We lowered the resolution, we put more stress onto the CPU potentially. But this CPU, like you can see now, it's up to 60 almost. But this CPU, it's not going to have issues with that, right? Some CPUs would in a mini PC. If you get a little cheapo mini PC, right, maybe it has USB 4, but the CPU is kind of crap, it won't be able to do this because the CPU would be a major bottleneck. Okay, and there we go. That's the little ACEMAGIC here. This thing is really good. Honestly, it's really good. It's got your little Mac Mini type footprint. It's kind of the same type of ideas of Mac Mini. So nice if you want to stack it on top of your Mac Mini if you use one, or if you're just a Windows user, just get this. It's very good. I mean, honestly, you get a very powerful CPU, very, very powerful CPU with lots of cores. That's fantastic. You get obviously, you know, good RAM, storage, and all that kind of stuff there. Nice little package. It runs cool and quiet is important because it's not going to be some super loud little thing where, you know, you have access to a good CPU, but it's just ripping all the time, super loud and annoying. Not here. This thing runs very, very, very quiet and cool. So they decided to bring those wattages down just a tiny little bit. Does, you know, chop a little bit off the performance, but it makes it just exponentially more enjoyable to use the product. So I'm here for that. Good port selection as well. I mean, you get your LAN there, 2 display out, 4 USB-A on the back is nothing to sneeze at. On the front there, 2 more USB 4, and they're running quick. Like I even gamed off of this one in this video. So I just ran my external SSD off of that. Then of course you do have access to the USB 4, which is pretty foundational. These are great on its own. You don't need to worry about USB 4, but you know, you take something like this and then maybe down the road you need some more ports, or you need access to stuff like hard drive docks, that kind of stuff. I mean, you can run hard drive docks off of these, no problem, but you can run fast, like multi-type storage off of the USB-C when it's 40 gigabit like that, very good. Or a USB 4 based eGPU, which I showed in this video, and turn this thing into a little gaming machine with something like, you know, like a little double, something like that, right? Like that's now a gaming PC, right? It's smaller for sure than the Steam machine. Absolutely will be smaller than the Steam machine, and it will be around the same performance, if not technically higher, because this might be a slightly higher CPU, but I mean, I'll put them probably in the same ballpark, put it that way. And there's my little like Steam machine thing. Everyone's saying that. So I built a Steam machine. Well, you don't need to build a Steam machine. You just get something like that, get something like this. Just set them on top of each other and you have one. So yeah, it's good. That's ACEMAGIC. I mean, it's a very good, on paper it was good, so I knew it would be fine. But actually in reality, it performs very well, and I like it a lot. And I do like how they've tuned this one here. So very good one from ACEMAGIC. Every time I review their stuff, they're always good.